Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, the Corvette is behind us. It is back on the ground and it is ready for us to start trying to get this thing bled, start the thing, and we'll see if everything goes well. Now, I will be honest, I have already cranked it over with the starter relay. Actually, you guys saw me do that in the previous video where we had compression. So I already know that everything is going to kind of move smoothly. So I actually just changed the oil in it and everything looked good there. You know, I put 6 quarts of oil back in it. We may have a leak up front. I think we showed you guys that earlier in a previous video. So we're gonna be paying attention to that. And so yeah, all the wiring is done. You guys can see everything is plugged back in. We have the coolant for the supercharger. That has all been plumbed. That's all closed up. Actually, we need to put coolant in that. The catch can has been hooked back up so you guys can see the dash 10 over on the passenger. The driver's buried over there, so that's all been hooked back up. All the sensors, the wiring, and the coolant tank is back in. And in the previous video, I may have been a little harsh on there being fisheyes in it. The only good thing is where all the fisheyes are, it's not visible. It's on the back side of the tank, so maybe a little harsh in the previous video, but still, I've had pieces powder coated before, never had an issue. And unfortunately this time, you know, we've got fisheyes in the fresh powder coat. Thankfully, it's on the backside so you don't see it. So now that we're ready to start this thing up, let's go ahead, try to start it up and back it out of the shop. Alright guys, the car started without any major issue. I do have the wideband sensor. The wiring is going really close to the header. It's not touching, but it's dang near almost touching, so I'm going to have to move that. And but I also need to bleed the coolant too. So I am actually out of coolant. This distilled water was the last of it. So I need to go buy some concentrate and buy some just regular 50/50. And we should be able to fill this up. So let's go ahead. I'll pull this back inside. I will go buy that coolant and we will try bleeding this again. Alright guys, if you can hear behind me, the Corvette is on and it is chopping. Let's show you a closer look. Check engine lights, nothing going on. I do have the heat on because I'm trying to bleed the coolant, but yeah, I mean, no major issues. We've got 38 to 40 psi. When I first started it, it only had like 45 psi, so that hasn't come down too much. And yeah, I think this is pretty good. Alright guys, so as you just saw, the Corvette has started up. It has backed out of the garage into the driveway. I did bleed it. I ended up putting roughly 2.5, maybe 3 gallons in there. I had a gallon of distilled water. I had a gallon of concentrate, so we put that in, so that's 2 gallons. I think I had a half gallon that I poured in previous to that, and then I guess just whatever was the rest in the system. So the block and maybe the bottom of the radiator. So that's all been plumbed. Everything's tight there. That's been bled, so the coolant system is good to go. Now, I will say this. I did notice two things. One, I had a ton of smoke coming from the driver's side header, and that was coming from two things. One, when I did that oil change that I previously mentioned, I had dumped some oil down the side of the header. I thought I cleaned it up. Apparently, I dumped a lot more than I thought that I did. So I actually had a bunch of oil collected on top of the collector, and so when this thing was heating up, it was trying to burn all that stuff off. So when the car was outside, I actually jacked it up and put a bunch of industrial cleaner down the header, sprayed it on there, wiped off as much as I could. The oil stopped dripping from the car, so that was the best thing. And then the second thing was, I still noticed a bunch of coolant coming down kind of like the body frame on the driver's side, and then I looked like there was coolant coming from the header. Well, it wasn't coming from the header because it was not coming out the V-band. It was just dribbling down the coolant tank, and when I accidentally put too much coolant in there and I had the system closed, it was actually bubbling over. So I just let it sit outside for like 30 minutes. It never got above 200. I turned the heat on, turned the all the way up to, I think, to 90 on the interior. So that system opened up. So we should be good with all the coolant, and all that smoke that I noticed is gone. I did notice that the wideband sensor that we just put in, the wiring was actually bigger and longer than the one I had in there previously. So that was sitting a little bit too close to the header. It was only like 1/8 of an inch away. So I put a giant zip tie around the brake line that goes through there, as well as the fuel return line. I just kind of wrapped it around there, and I wrapped it around the wideband sensor wiring, and I just tightened that down, and that got it a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch away from the header. So just another thing to be aware of. Be wary of where your wiring is, because like I said, that sensor was bigger and longer. The next thing I'm going to do is try to take this car out for a test drive, see how it goes. And if we have any issues there, obviously we'll fire the camera back up and pick up this adventure. But I think this video is going to be long enough. And yeah, I just wanted to show you guys kind of the trials and tribulations of getting your car started up after a big project. We just replaced the head gasket and all that stuff. So yeah, basically cleaning the header, moving stuff out of the way, and bleeding the car. That's pretty much what I ran into. And so I would say those problems are pretty minor, but it did take up most of my day today. And you guys can't see it, but it is starting to get dark outside. So yeah, been a long day, but hey, car's up and running. We can go for a test drive and we should be good to go. If you guys want to see more updates on the Corvette, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. I'll try to include links to the oil and coolant. I actually did get the oil from Amazon because that's the best place I know for VR1. And also don't forget to check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you guys can give there goes right back into the channel, the projects. Hopefully nothing major for the Corvette, but other stuff. More shop updates, more truck updates, and all that. So yeah, don't forget to check out the website, and that's going to be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.